All right, everyone. So in today's episode, I'm going to break down my game plan for the week ahead, my watch list for tomorrow, and for those of you guys who are brand new, I'm going to share with you the process I follow every single day. I'm a big advocate that profits are a byproduct of following a consistent process, system, or strategy. And what I mean by that is a lot of beginner traders who come into the market end up getting drawn into stocks like GameStop or AMC, and they just kind of buy something because they hear other people talking about it, but they don't really have a system or a set of rules that dictates how they're choosing the stocks they're buying, where they're going to sell for a loss if it goes the wrong way, or where they're going to take profit. And so one of the things that you really have to focus on as a trader is developing your system. If you focus exclusively on profits and you look at other people who are saying, oh, I'm up this much money, this much money, this much money, you might think, oh, all I need to do is buy that same size position on any old stock, 10,000 shares, and next thing you know, I'll be up $10,000. But when you do that, you skip over all of the critical steps that successful traders before you have already taken. That's part of the foundation. So I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Now, right now, we're locking up August. August is in the books. Summer is over, and we are now coming into the month of September. So it's always helpful to take a little bit of a look back when we're doing these game plans and just sort of, evaluate where the market has been. So the month of August, as it turned out, was my second best month of the year. I finished with $171,000 of gross profit. That is before fees and commissions. This is a really solid month for me. Now, as it turned out, Friday, the 30th, was my second worst. No, I guess it was third worst. I had two slower days up here. So I didn't really finish with a big green day by any means, but the consistency was really strong. And that's because I've been following this system that I really kind of got dialed in at the end of June that has been working really well. It's a sort of a different strategy for position management. But if we clear this out, or we just do year to date, what you'll see is that just these last couple months, July was phenomenal. So right now I'm sitting a little over $720,000 in profit on the year 2024. We've got 4 months left to go. And you could see it was kind of, sort of slow. February was good, but then the rest of the months for the first part of the year were relatively slow, averaging like $45,000 a month. Not bad. I'm not going to complain. That's still great. But then out of nowhere, July, 232,000, and then August, 171,000. So now as we come into September, I can see this trend that the numbers are getting a little bit smaller. So it's possible that September will dip down a little bit. But what I'm also thinking is typically October, November, and December can be really strong months in the market. So I'm starting to get pretty excited about how this year is going to finish up. And at the end of the day, I'm not focusing on hitting a certain amount of money and a certain number every single day. I'm focusing each day on finding strong stocks to trade and trading the setups that I know the best. And if the market is really strong, all of those winners on average will be bigger. And if the market is slower, then those winners on average will be smaller. And that's sort of the biggest difference between hot markets and cold markets. The average winners are just bigger. But you know what's interesting? You can control how much you risk. And so whether the market is hot or the market is cold, you can choose how much you're willing to risk on any given trade. So your average losers shouldn't really change all that much between hot and cold markets. If you're managing your risk, if you're keeping tight stops, you're bailing out as soon as you see that exit indicator, and your losses are going to be more or less the same, whether it's hot or cold. All right, so that's kind of where we finished the month of August and kind of how things are looking going into September. So if we take a look at the overall market, the S&P 500, we finished in great shape. It's kind of impressive because August began with this big kind of, flush, this drop down to the 200 EMA, and then we just rallied all the way back up. So the overall market right now is actually very close to all-time highs. Now I'm going to put up a couple of my drawing tools here. Let's see. So I'm going to do the arrow, and I'm going to star my extended line, and I'm going to star my horizontal line. These are my favorite tools that I'm using. Okay, so horizontal line. So I'm going to tap this level right there. So that was our high, 565.16. And I think that this is helpful to kind of gain perspective. On the one hand, July was my best month of the year, and what did the S&P 500 do? So, well, I mean, it was up in the first half and then it pulled back in the second half. And what did it do in the beginning of August? We sold off really hard and then we rallied. So you would think maybe August would have been a better month than July because the overall market was sort of rallying the whole time. But in fact, August or July turned out to be better. And that was because of the fact that, as it turned out, there were just more news catalysts in July than there were in August. And one of the things that I said on Friday was, listen, it's Friday before a long weekend. I think we have to adjust our expectations here. What company is going to put out phenomenal news on a Friday before a long weekend? That news is going to get forgotten. So more likely a company would put out bad news, hoping it gets forgotten, but not good news. So it didn't surprise me that we ended slow on Friday. But as we come into this new week, I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how the market performs, the overall market, if we're able to break through these levels or if we pull back again, and then certainly the small cap stocks. So I'm going to pull up my scanner here for continuation. So let's see, we're going to go to the continuation scanner. Now, I really like using this scan because this gives me basically a picture of some of the stocks that have been the most active in the last, 2 weeks or so. So BOF, this one's been super active in the last couple of weeks, or the last three sessions, really. However, my issue with this one is that it's a little on the cheaper side. And because it started below $1, I often find that these stocks will be very thickly traded. And I think the reason is because there's a lot of people that'll buy, 100,000, 200,000 shares of it when it's a penny stock. And then once it starts to get up to $1.50, $2 a share, you've got these 150,000 share sell orders that start to slow it down. So I'm not sure if this one's going to give us a lot more opportunity, but it's one to keep an eye on. So BOF, that's a maybe. And I start with a continuation scanner just to see if there's anything that looks good for tomorrow. But most likely, my biggest winning trades tomorrow and each day this coming week will be on stocks each morning that have breaking news, fresh news that comes out overnight or early during the pre-market session that results instantly in traders buying up the stock. So the next one here is BYU. Now, BYU is a 13 million share float, which is fine. This daily chart is a little trickier for me. As I think you probably know, one of the charts that I really like are these stocks have been beaten up down here for that curl. So I really like something down in this area for curling up, but when it gets up to this area, it feels awfully extended. So although we could get some extension higher, it's not my favorite setup. And if we look back on the daily chart, we could ask, is this a blue sky setup? And it is not blue sky. Blue sky is when you're at all-time highs, and we have to keep scaling this thing. We could go to auto. But this has a blue sky way, way, way up here, $5,000. Now, that's because of reverse splits, as you can see right here. But nonetheless, that blue sky is too far away. So realistically, I don't think this is going to give us a lot more to work with. So that's BYU. Don't think I'm going to trade that. JBDI. JBDI, this one's kind of interesting. So if we look at this chart, you can see it's a recent IPO. It IPO just a few days ago. It ends up squeezing up nicely, pulling back a little bit. High volume on those two first candles, lighter volume on these two candles that were kind of in range. So on this one, recently, IPOs haven't been super strong for day trades. And even this one, although it did put in this impressive move, was on fairly light volume and wasn't super easy to trade. So now it's kind of pulling back here. I would say, so let me grab my drawing tools on this chart too. So I'm going to do the arrow, the extended line, and the horizontal line. There we go. So if I look at this, I would say there's probably going to be a pivot. Looks like around this area here. See how we hit that level there, but then we also kind of double top to it there. It's about $16 a share. Now, if we got above that level, you might say, well, what about this candle here? Yeah, there's that little high at 1650. And then above 1650, your next level would be up here at about, what is this, 1760. And then you're starting to get closer to the all-time high there. So, it's not impossible, but I feel like it needs a catalyst to do that. And realistically, you don't usually get a big surprise catalyst like 3 days after the IPO. That would almost be like, unfair to the company to have held that back before the IPO. So for that reason, I don't think that I'll probably get anything on that in the next couple days, but we'll keep an eye on it. AIXI, this one, a little bit beaten up on the daily chart, but has bounced just recently. 7 million share float. Seems like there's some lawsuit stuff going on with it. Where's this company located? Shanghai. Yeah, probably leave that one alone. Next one down, Neon. So it's too extended on the daily at this point. You see how it's curled up so much? So this one, you run into that sort of similar issue where the good low risk opportunities were down here, and now it's just too extended, I think. So that one's not going to work for me. Just glancing down here, SGLY, nice float, nice price. It's in a price range where, a 10% move on this is 60 cents a share. 5,000 shares, it's $3,000. I mean, you could get it potentially some nice trades. If this broke over 8, maybe room up towards 10. Again, it's a beaten up chart, but it hasn't bounced too much yet. It's bounced a bit, but yeah, that one's a maybe. So, all right, so that's that. So now let's see. Our biggest gainers on Friday, BNRG, which is an energy stock, Bren Miller Energy. I was a little not convinced this was going to give us clean action. It did end up making a nice move, but the problem for me was that the move really began after hours and then pushed higher pre-market and into regular trading hours. I always feel like when the move starts after hours, I sort of miss the beginning of the move. That reminds me to check our after hours top gainer scan. So after hours top gainers on Friday, which realistically, again, it's Friday going into a long weekend. I'm not sure that this is really going to carry over to tomorrow, but APTO, 19 million share float, pops up sideways. Okay. So then that's fine. So then that's a possibility, up 70%. MSGM, this one, it's a little close to the 200 moving average here. So if it starts to bounce, it's going to kind of run right into that area. We'll see what it looks like in the morning. SHLS, sort of potential bounce, float on it. What was the float on this one? That float's too high, 164 million shares. ICG float's too high, probably 27 million. All right, so I'm going to get rid of that one. And then ATPC from Friday. This one was kind of crazy. This is the one that just kind of like, it was really hard to trade. I lost on it and then I recovered most of what I lost. I don't think I ended up making any significant profit. But basically, in 2 candles, it makes this huge squeeze up and then kind of pulls back. So rallied back up later, but was not easy. And I was pretty disciplined on Friday. I was like, I really don't want to overstay my welcome. And I already had a close call on Friday. So if we look at my metrics from Friday, let's see, we look at calendar. So Friday, this is where I kind of had a decent day and then I gave back half of it. And I was like, uh-oh. And then kind of I rallied back up and then gave back a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I think we're good here. I don't need to keep pushing my luck. So, and that's really been kind of the theme for this month. So I would say tomorrow, I'm not going to have a stock based on the action from Friday that is, really kind of close on my watch for Tuesday morning. There's just nothing really that looks amazing and that I should be getting super excited about. So so that's kind of my thought here for the continuation scanner. I think most likely tomorrow it's going to have to be something that has fresh news. So the way that works, my process is, if something has breaking news tomorrow, then all of a sudden, so if a stock has breaking news, it's possible that the news could come out and nothing happens because algorithms, high frequency trading algorithms, and traders just don't care about the news. So initially what happens is we get the news that comes out. So we get news headline, and then the HFT algos read the headline. They're able to read the headline, interpret it, and if they see keywords in it that they like, then what happens almost instantaneously is you get this big green candle. It starts to spike up. Now, what follows is often a little bit of momentary pullback. And some of that can be profit taking from anyone who was in before that spike. Some of it are early traders who are trying to short it, thinking it's not going to hold up. And then if it does hold up, I'm buying this first candle to make a new high for that next leg higher. So this right here is my entry point, and that's going to be on a micro pullback. So that's really my favorite setup right there, is let the news happen, let the algo spike, push it higher, let it dip, and then if it holds, buy that first dip. So what I look for in order to find this setup, I'm not scanning for breaking news. What I'm actually scanning for are stocks that have just made this candle, that have just put in this spike. Because the fact is, there's going to be a lot of companies every day that have news headlines, but the market doesn't react to it. So trying to read every news headline is not going to get you anywhere. You want to see what's spiking. And if something is spiking, then at that point, you figure, what's the catalyst that's driving this higher? Oh, it just has breaking news that came out at the top or bottom of the hour. Usually headlines come out at the top and the bottom of the hour. So 4 a.m., 4:30, 5, 5:36, 6:30, 7, 7:38, 8:39. And then usually that's it for pre-market news. There are some companies that'll put out news during the day, but usually there's not as much breaking news that comes out during the day. And then at 4 p.m., 4:35, 5:36, we have after hours headlines that come out. I focus on trading pre-market. I'm on East Coast time. Some traders trade after hours, but one of the things that I like about trading pre-market is that if I take my first trade at 7 or 7:30 or 8 or whatever it is, and I lose on it, which can happen, I still have a lot of time in the day to recover that loss. The type of strategy that I trade is focusing on very short-term imbalances between supply and demand that create volatility. And because I'm trading on the 1-minute time frame, I can find dozens of opportunities each day. So if I lose on my first 2 or even 3 trades, potentially, there's still likely to be a lot more opportunities that I can keep trading. If I take my first trade at 5 p.m. and then that stock I'm red on, and there's nothing else that has news, I might not have an opportunity to recoup those losses. And that's just kind of it for the day, because the day is winding down. So I do like trading earlier in the day for a number of reasons, but that is certainly one of them. So what I'll be doing tomorrow is I'll be watching my small cap high of day momentum scanner right here. And I also have my running up scanner that I'm going to add. So running up scanner, I'm going to move that down to right here. And I'm actually going to move my, this might work. I can keep it like this for now. I might end up moving that, adjusting that a little bit, but for right now, I think that's okay. My news feed's right here. So if APTO hits my scanner just like this, then all of a sudden I'm seeing, oh, what's the news headline? Boom, there's news right there. And then at that point, I'm doing my due diligence, looking at the chart and looking for that first entry, looking to see, did we get that algo spike? And now, so that light green is like, that's the candle generated by the high frequency trading algorithms. Then we get a little bit of pullback, and then do we surge higher? And if we surge higher, boom, that's where I'm buying. That's where I'm going to look to take my first trade. So that's going to be the game plan for tomorrow. And that's probably where I'll find my best opportunities, will be something that hits the scanners. I pull it up, I see that it's got news, and then right then at that point, I'm checking the daily chart. I'm looking for the position of the 200 moving average. I'm looking at my intraday charts. I'm looking for a pullback, and I'm pulling up the level 2, and I'm checking the spreads. I'm seeing if there's any big buyers, any big sellers, and I'm looking to see, is there a place where I can jump into this where I'm managing my risk? Now, those of you guys who haven't already checked it out, if you come over to warriortrading.com and you go to join now up in the top corner, you will see that we've got our Labor Day sales going on right now. They are ending, however, this week. So if you haven't already checked them out, I encourage you to check out the sales that we've got. You could use, you could sign up to Day Trade Dash. And if you sign up to Day Trade Dash, you'll be using just the software right here. You'll have the charts, the scanners, the news feed. But Day Trade Dash does not give you access to my chat room or my broadcast or my classes. It is just the tools. So for those of you guys that just want a platform for trading, just the tools, then by all means, you can use this. For those of you guys that want to be in my classes, you want to go through the Warrior Starter, the Warrior Pro curriculum, you can look at those membership levels right here for Starter, Pro, and then the Pro Special. So check those out if you haven't already. And of course, I'll be live streaming bright and early tomorrow morning. For those of you guys that have not done a 2-week trial at any point, you can always do a 2-week trial, get into the chat room for a couple days, see what it's like. If you're enjoying it, You can take advantage of the Labor Day sales. If you don't, no big deal. It's up to you. We try to make it really easy for you guys so you can check it out. You can get a feel for what the platform's like. The 2-week trial is $20. That helps cover your market data costs, and it gives you access to real-time data on the scanners, the charts. You'll have access to my audio video broadcast. You'll have access to 7 chapters in the curriculum, so you can kind of get a sense of whether or not you like the way I teach, you like my strategy, and if you think it's a good fit for you. And if you do, then by all means, you're welcome to continue on. So anyways, that's my game plan for tomorrow. I'll be streaming bright and early. Chat room will open at about 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Perhaps a little earlier, but definitely by 7 a.m. at the latest. And hopefully we have some nice stocks that are on the scans. Monday morning, I'm going to be kind of testing the water. I'm going to take it slow because it's the beginning of the week. I'm going to start with smaller share size. Once I've built a cushion on the day, I'm going to increase my size. And I'm going to be thinking that way, not just about the day, but also the week and also the month, because we're starting a new month. And this is an opportunity to start with sort of a clean slate, especially as we come into the fall, and really try to focus first and foremost on discipline. That's really where it's at. Can you be a disciplined trader through September? And I want to challenge you to see if you can have 20 days of consistent discipline this month. It doesn't matter if you're green or red. Right now, it matters if you can follow the rules that you've set for yourself. If you don't already have a set of rules, then you should definitely do the 2-week trial so you can learn my trading plan, start using the rules that I'm using every single day, and so you can practice in a simulator during this period when you're still, sort of trying to figure things out. All right, so that's it for me. I'll remind you guys, as always, that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so manage your risk, take it slow, always practice in a simulator, and I'll see you guys live streaming bright and early tomorrow morning.